In May 1996, two experienced hikers set up camp near the Wapiti shelter in Virginia's George Washington and Jefferson National Forests. Only one walked out alive, and no one's been able to explain what happened in the hours before dawn. The Wapiti shelter sits off a quiet section of the Appalachian Trail, just south of Pearisburg, Virginia. Back then, it was a popular overnight stop, isolated, but safe enough for solo hikers. On May 19, 1996, hikers Scott Johnston and his companion, a woman named Lolly, pitched camp there after a 14-mile day. They were tired. They were alone. Or so they thought. That night, Scott wrote in his journal that he heard unusual pacing in the brush around the shelter. Not the quick, erratic movement of wildlife. Slow, deliberate, human. Lolly laughed it off, but Scott noticed the sound would stop whenever he shone his flashlight toward the tree line. Around midnight, both were jolted awake by a low, guttural voice, no words, just noise, a sound that seemed to circle the shelter. Scott stepped outside, saw nothing, heard nothing, but the forest had gone silent, dead silent. At first light, Scott woke to find Lolly's sleeping bag unzipped and empty. Her pack was still there. So were her boots. Search teams combed the area for days. Dogs picked up a trail for nearly a mile, and then nothing. No scent, no trace. The only clue? Deep impressions in the soil, too large for a human foot, too heavy for a bear, leading away from the shelter and vanishing into rock. Some said it was a serial killer stalking the trail. Others blamed black bears or mountain lions. But locals whispered something older, something that's lived in these mountains longer than we have. A thing that can mimic human voices. The official case? Still unsolved. Scott never hiked that section again. The Wapiti shelter still stands. Hikers still camp there, and sometimes they still hear footsteps pacing in the brush just beyond the light.